Hello and welcome to K&K Play D&D. I'm the first K, and this is Anna and Mokana number 23.
He is the first K and his name is Keith. I'm the second K and my name's Cara and I'm here too.
And today's episode is brought to you by Parliament.
Yay for Robert's rules. Let's get those dice rolling. Previously on K&K Play D&D, the goddess Sana Ashun, to whom I give my primary devotion, has seen fit to bless me with true sight. But what I have seen is disturbing. A demonic creature and a dragon entering the Parliament chamber in the city of Mokana. The Lady General Tassi has asked us to attend so as not to raise undue alarm. I asked Milos to pray. At the very least, he's a good distraction.
Thank you, O gracious gods of life and death, for the life that we have and the death we will meet. I thank you.
I shift uncomfortably in my seat and try to, kind of slouch down a little bit. And I sort of lean forward so that my laughter is hidden. And I say, okay, Ro, now you gotta show up.
Dorn, can you give me a perception check?
I most certainly can. Yeah, that'll do. That's a 26.
So, as you're trying to stifle your laugh, your gaze goes across this...
Everybody's attention is getting caught by this cleric.
Yes, and this quiet horror has kind of filled the room because worshipping to Taff and Taff in public is kind of taboo. So everyone's gone silent here and is staring at this tall, skinny, fully armed cleric wearing a cape with the symbols of Taff and Tef on it, and he is bedecked in Taff and Tef-ness. Everyone's, what? But they're about 10 seats down from you. There is a high elf woman. She looks to be a merchant of some kind. She is holding her fist to her mouth and she's trying not to laugh. And your eyes meet. And you hear the sound of the ocean in your ears.
And I nod. I understand. When Milos is done with his prayer, I loudly say, Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Hold up a second. As I'm slouching down and cringing at how terrible this was to experience, I've got a good bead on Fjerdtakker, at least who I think probably is him. How's he reacting to this prayer?
Roll insight.
Like a 13?
He seems more amused than anything.
All right, I think most people would be.
Yeah, thank you, cleric of Taff and Teth. That was mighty kind of you to start us off with a prayer. This parliament is now in session. She glances up and down the table. We are all in attendance. I move that we do not need to take a roll call. Will someone second that? I second that. The Lady General practically yawns. All in favor? The council members all are in favor.
Yeah.
Opposed? Abstain? Very good.
This is riveting stuff. Do you mind if we take a nap? I don't mind.
And now we will go over the agenda confirmation. The agenda was sent out last evening for all of you to peruse and become familiar with. So the Parliament begins as they do. They start with their usual business. It is
Approving the agenda, approving the minutes from last meeting, all that stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Approving all of that. They seem very enthusiastic about it.
When you say enthusiastic,
I say that with a wink and a smile and a yawn.
they want to get at the good stuff.
And after all that, Ursula von Bragen bangs her gavel again. All right. We will now open the floor towards public comments. Those with questions or comments to the good of the Parliament, will you please make your way up to the podium?
Tarur hesitates for a minute, then stands.
There are a few other people who've gotten to the podium before you.
That's fine. I don't know what am I doing, but this is what Frankie would want. This is what Frankie would want. I will do this. This is okay. Fjerdtakker already knows who I am. It's fine.
The first person is a middle-aged human merchant man. Yes, I would like to bring to the council the problem with the undead at night and how they have been rising and besieging our city and outlying communities.
Seastone nods enthusiastically from where he sits up in the or up on the theater seating. Like, yes, he absolutely agrees with this.
I bring this before ye, and what are you going to do? I will handle this. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, good sir. I have just been informed that the problem has been taken care of.
Murmurs, I'm sure, throughout the chamber.
There are murmurs. The rest of the council looks at her.
Anna adjusts her glaive.
That does catch a couple eyes from around the room.
She doesn't smile. She doesn't change her facial expression. She just adjusts.
Yes. Anna, Tar, if you want to do Seastone, Dorn, if you want to do a couple insight checks towards the council members over this proclamation.
Sure.
And the gentleman speaking.
I want to look at Paolo Fjerdtakker as she says that.
Oh, sure.
What is that, perception or insight?
Insight.
Oh, it doesn't matter. As I said, I'm proficient in both. That'll be a 15.
Paolo Fjerdtakker just kind of nods to himself.
He's a little inscrutable, that one.
All right.
I would like to take a look at some of the higher members of the council.
Okay.
The princess, in particular. Yeah, natural 20.
All right.
So that's like a lot.
That's a lot.
That's like 27.
All right, Dorn. You catch a significant glance between the princess and the lady general.
All right.
And
like this is news to her, or this is something that the lady general told her ahead of time?
Like this is news. She has a questioning glance on her eyebrows and all that.
All right.
And the lady general just nods. The human woman on the council looks shocked at General Tassi. The high elf man, he scowls.
Can I see who Anna's looking at? Like if she sat behind the high priest and she said there was somebody like a merchant that he had been with, can I make out who she's looking at and maybe read their response?
You'll have to do a perception check to see.
Another?
Yep.
All right, that'll be a 26.
You do see the merchant man. It is a large human man dressed, again, very, very nicely. He's sitting amongst several other merchants. And he just has this overconfident smile on his face.
I don't like him. That's all.
Okay. The merchant gentleman, taking Tassi's answer, bows, mumbles thanks, and retakes his seat. The next person is an old elf woman. She's bowed with age and time. She's probably 800 years or something like that. She takes a few moments to complain about the state of the streets.
Sure.
Like she can.
She's been there before. I'm assuming like this is somebody that they have listened to on several occasions.
Yes, and all the council recognize her. They nod, and they give her the pleasantries, the rote answers that this woman is looking for, and she smiles and retakes her seat. And Tarur, all eyes turn to you, the only dragonborn in attendance.
Right. Hi. I am the agent of Francesca Dumarat of Seabrook. And,
Speak up!
Right. I bring greetings from Lady Francesca Dumarat of Seabrook.
There's some murmurs at that, and the council looks among each other, kind of confused. You see one person leaning to another, and actually quite loudly, "There's a new lady in that little fishing village. The wonders never cease."
What's the general vibe? Are people like dismissive? Are they just confused?
And we'll give you this one for free. They're more dismissive than anything.
Right. She wants to tell you not to be alarmed about the army. And
That everyone looks at you. General Tossi buries her face, her forehead in one hand, like he didn't. Did he just? Oh, of course he just did. Okay, play it cool. Let's
And-
see what he does.
He's panicking. He's like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. I am not used to public speaking. I just spilled a bunch of beans.
And I give my Grandmaster Lord Tar the biggest, most encouraging smile I can. And I'm going to have to roll for that. Because I am Milosh.
Yep, that's my boy. Oh, yes.
I rolled a 5.
I'm terrified. But it does give me an idea. Yeah, the army is if you hold a primary devotion to Taff and Teth, you are welcome to talk to the cleric who is in attendance here. And if you want to join the army, you can. He will set you up with the people that you need to get in contact with, and it's the fishing season, so highly encourage you to get your fresh fish from local sources, because in these troubling times, your local small business and the local economy benefit from local commerce now more than ever. Amen.
And he walks away.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, thank you.
He never gave his name.
We welcome you to Mokana and accept the greetings of the new lady of Seabrook. Welcome.
He really did just say not to worry about the army, didn't he?
Aye, that he did.
That's our boy.
If there are no more, we will move to the next agenda.
How did Paolo Fjerdtakker react to the rest of the business?
Insight.
Oh, that one's not so good on me. That's a 12. I was laughing quite a bit. I was grabbing onto Seastone's wrist real hard in an attempt to keep myself from spluttering with laughter.
You can't quite tell. Paolo Fjerdtakker seems to be as shocked and taken aback and bemused by Tarur's eloquentness as the rest of the chamber.
Anna adjusts her glaive the other direction. Just kind of spins it in her hand and stops it so that the blade catches the light a couple times. Not on purpose. That was a nervous tick, but it looks impressive.
Paolo Fjerdtakker notices.
He's sitting in front of her.
Will catch the light.
Oh, sure. No change to her facial expression
Of
whatsoever,
course not.
even though she's really wondering how they're going to manage now that Tarur has given away half of their stuff. But no, she's proud of him for doing the public speaking, especially in front of a dragon.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Parliament moves on to the next issue of their agenda, which is correspondences from outlying Mokanan territories, and they go through the letters and stuff very meticulously and discusses it and has a scribe there to pen drafts of their responses. It's all very...
Seastone kind of curls up into his chair, pulls his legs up onto his chair, and sort of leans over and sort of closes his eyes for a minute.
And then... Yeah, now we will move to the new business. The Lady General stands and addresses her Parliament cohort. My fellow members of Parliament, we here in Mokana have heard much of what has been going on in the world of late. We have been secure within our walls and on our side of the mountains, protected by the seas and the islands. We are steadfast here and we are strong. But our sister nations to the west are not. We have heard of things that have befallen the other nations. We have heard of the destruction of Dezka. We have heard of the armies massing against Tromdia and the tyrant to the southwest that has arisen against Patchwork itself. We have received many a letter from the aides of the Winter King and other nations to see what we are to do, how we will act upon the stage of the nations against this scourge that is plaguing us. I put forth a motion that we decide how, as a nation, how, as Mokana, will move forward in light of our past glories and to what may come. I move that we ally with Tromdia and the Winter King. At first, after the Lady General's words, there is silence, and then the public looking in start to murmur amongst each other all around. The murmurs increase as people are talking over each other, like, what did she just say? Are we going to fight a dragon? Are they going to call the militia? Are they just going to send the army? What's the Navy going to do? I will have order in the session. Order! Yeah, thank you. And Ursula von Ragen looks across the table at the other council members who are slightly in shock of what the Lady General has motioned. Is there a second? Yes, I second. And the human woman raises her hand, being the second. Very well. I open the floor for discussion. The first person to speak is the High Elf man. He stands up sharply, almost knocking his chair back. He leans forward on the table, glaring at Lady Tassi. He is not happy with this idea. He yells across the table at her. Siding against a dragon will bring destruction to Mokana and all the territories that rely upon them for protection. All the vassals, all the unaffiliated lands, everything on the east would be brought down if we side with the Winter King. The Lady General responds to him, not quite to his level and not coolly either. She has heat behind her words, citing the destruction of Dezka was out of the blue. There was no cause that Dezka was against the dragon. The dragon came out of nowhere and destroyed it.
Seastone starts to pay attention.
And she also cites that the Winter King has come to Mokana's aid in the past. When the pirates were besieging the trade lines, he sent units to help. Mokana has never repaid that. Also, as the guest from Seabrook said, there is an army. They have an army that can lend aid. They go back and forth for several minutes, just these two, small comments coming up from the others here and there, but it's mostly these two, Lady General Tassi and this High Elf, going back and forth over this. And eventually, the princess bangs her gavel again, trying to get order between the two. Then the dwarf stands up. I make a motion to table this discussion. At the moment we're not making any headway. Let's table it cool our heads and come back later. The priest. I second the motion. We should table it. We'll come back at the next session. I second. Yeah. Any further discussion? Then the motion is tabled. Can I have the 4 of the Seabrook Company do perception checks?
Sure. That's pretty good. That's an 18 for Anna.
Okay.
Modified 20 for Tarur.
Nice.
And 19 for Dorn. And a 22 for Seastone. I started paying attention, you notice.
Yeah, you did. Dorn and Seastone, you guys are on the edges of your seats here. Things have gotten interesting. It's pulled your attention. I mean, this is where the meat is. And Seastone, while you're glancing around the room, you noticed the priest, Paolo Fjerdtakker, mumble something and get a smile on his face. Dorn, as you're glancing around, you see the smile on the priest's face, and you glance around, the elf woman is gone that had smiled at you and was laughing with you earlier. But as you do, you see the large merchant man. He gets a wicked grin. Tarur and Anna, Paolo Fjerdtakker's back is towards you, unfortunately. Anna, you see the merchant man across the way from you and Paolo Fjerdtakker, and he has this wicked grin, and his fingers start flexing a bit. And Tarur, you being behind Paolo Fjerdtakker, you can't see his lips, but you hear a single word come from him. Chaos. And as the Parliament members begin to move on in their session, there is a black dot that opens up on the floor. No one really seems to notice it, except for the 4 of you. And these 2 3-fingered clawed hands reach up and spread the dot into a hole and start pulling this creature out. I don't remember much of my life before this place. Just pieces, really. Voices in the night, silent images, battles, deep feelings down in my bones. A woman calling my name. The hand of a child reaching for mine. The smell of the ocean. The tiefling's horn hanging from a cord around my neck, and it being given to me by the massive man it had belonged to. But I don't remember him, and I can't put it together. So I try not to dwell on it. I focus instead on the tasks in front of me. It was midnight, or just past, when I entered that bastard's Keep Rock offices. I came in through the back way as instructed. He wasn't supposed to be seen with someone like me. It would ruin the reputation he's cultivated over the years. A respectable person like him would never associate with the likes of me. I didn't care about the back door, or give his reputation much thought. He was my employer in this world, and he could kill me with a flick of his pinky. He was seated at his desk writing something, a letter or a sermon. Both were equally likely. He didn't look up, just spoke as his quill paused. "You've come back." I rested my hand on my sword hilt. Nice, easy place for it. Made me feel more comfortable. "Yeah, I'm back. Listen, this plan of yours, it's crazy. Too many variables for my liking. Too many things could go sideways." Now, he looked up at me, regarding me with unexpressive dark eyes. If he'd been an orc, it wouldn't have made my skin crawl. But he wasn't an orc. Wasn't even pretending to be one. Just a human or something like one. Gave me the creeps. Slowly a smile spread its way across his face, revealing perfectly straight, white teeth. "Chaos is a wonderful motivator, champion Jolg.
Chaos is uncontrollable. We can't predict what people will do if you rely on it. That puts us at a disadvantage.
Someone like you, someone of your background, certainly. I concede that. But I am not a soldier, and chaos has its uses. Think on this. Imagine, if you will, a stable kingdom in the world, one that believes itself to be outside my reach. You know the sort. They go about their lives orderly and precise, just as they have for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Now, what do you imagine they'd do if suddenly my forces were inside their walls and among their rulers?
They would strike back, rally the guard, call up the militia, and mobilize the army. Whatever part of the city your forces enter in would be quarantined and then quickly routed. Sir,
That is what you, Jolg, the great Horde champion, would do. These people, as you call them, have not had to do such thought exercises to create such contingencies.
no, anyone trained in strategy could come up with it.
Ah, yes, indeed. Unfortunately, that would be the Lady General, who would have already fallen, leaving behind a vacuum in their military command structure.
I did not like the idea of a plan that left so many variables to chance or the whims of change. How are you going to do that? She ain't stupid enough to be alone anywhere where your forces might arrive.
Jolg,
If she's as important as you're making her out to be, she'd have at least one squad with her at all times, not to mention shadows in front and behind.
you would do well to remember that you're not my only lieutenant.
There it was. A threat to my station, my position in his plans. A reminder that I could be replaced, but also that he had made other deals, contracts with creatures of much darker natures than any of us other lieutenants cared for. Right, the demon.
As you say, the demon. Such a useful creature, don't you agree?
Useful as a rabid dog. But I didn't say that exactly. A savage, to be honest, sir.
A savage? In a way, yes. But is that not what they called you too? The chaos that Gabrezu will sow in Mokana is exactly what will tear their little kingdom apart.
There's no controlling what it'll
Joel,
do.
you philosophize too much. You're almost as bad as those old windbag elves in Laterna. It doesn't become you.
Part of me wanted to quit his services. The part of me that heard the woman's voice or felt the child's hand in my dreams. If I did, he would hunt me to the ends of Patchwork. Only a god could save me from that fate. But there were no gods in this world. Sir, this plan has...
Haven't you been assigned a task, Lieutenant Jolg?
And like that, I'd been dismissed. I left through the hidden door without saluting. It was the night of the country wedding. The entire village had turned up. The place was crowded with people, a good portion of whom were drunk, or well on their way to being that. Music, talking, laughing, singing, dancing. All of the usual small-town gathering stuff filled the air. They seemed happy. It was easy enough to slip through without being noticed. No one was looking for us there, especially not the Builders' champions. We made our way to the back of the village temple. She was waiting for us there. Of course she was. She'd been stationed in that little village for years now, looking for the fabled dragon's horde hidden somewhere in the lands outside. I'd heard her pet Behir had been set free by the Builders' champions. Of course it had. They were skilled. At least, what I could remember of them. She wasn't happy to see us, me, there. She was territorial that way, and vain, thinking she was the best of the lieutenants. And maybe she was. After all, she was smarter than the other two. We stood there for several moments, eyeing each other. She with her human arms crossed over her human chest, staring at me with her human eyes. It was disconcerting knowing it was really a dragon behind that haughty gaze. Knowing she could kill me almost as easy as breathing. What do you want, half-orc? I'll make this quick, so you can get back to that party out there. She didn't deign to respond. That was good. It meant she was listening. He's pitting us against each other. The lieutenants, that is. Her head tilted to one side, and she raised an eyebrow. And I take it this is news to you? No, of course not. I'd been expecting it too. The kind were always seeking ways to outdo one another. But none of us lieutenants have ever had the guts to say it to each other's faces. Listen, if he wants to pit us against each other, let him. But we do it on our terms, yeah? I've got an idea. Oh, you have an idea, mortal? My idea is that I eat you, find the Horde here, and use whatever artifacts I find to obliterate any riff-raff rabble who'd be trying to stop me. I like my plan. I've had it for decades now. Certainly before you ever showed up. All that to say, I hope your idea is good. I'll take some convincing. I admit, my idea doesn't involve me being eaten, and I feel the need to point out you've been here for, what, 20 years, and still haven't found the Silver Dragon's horde? So forgive me for pointing out that you might need a new plan after all. I frowned, resting my hand on the hilt of my sword, unthreateningly. So here's the deal. You and me, we team up and take the other two out. The demon will be easiest. It just needs a lot of distractions. I can do that while you sling spells at it from the air. Easy 1-2 punch. He's strong, sure, but not a threat to you and me. When the demon's gone, taking care of the white is a cinch. He's stupid. She raised her eyebrow again. That's your plan? How much time did you spend thinking that up? I dearly hope you didn't hurt that sweet little head of yours. Our master needs you to keep it. For a little while longer. I was beginning to hate dragons. I was about to tell her more of my plan. Like how I had the red-haired human tied up to the chair, and how she was connected to these builders, and how capturing her gave us leverage in more places than one. But at that moment, an arrow shot through one of the windows. I guess someone had noticed me coming through Seabrook after all. And there you have it. Another episode of K&K Play D&D is in the books. That was Anna in Mokana, number 23.
I had a little bit of lore for you. A little backstory. A little bit of complication. I'm all about that life.
You've been asking me a lot about Jolg and his stuff, and
I
so
have for a long while.
you're welcome.
You're welcome as well.
Thank you.
If you want to express your feelings about anything, but about Jolg particularly, you know how to do that. That's what social media is for. You can find us at K&K Play D&D on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, YouTube, Podbean.
Music was by
Me mostly on this
Mostly
one, except for some of the stuff that accompanied the ambient tracks from tabletopaudio.com.
Woohoo!
And finally, this is the second K Karin.
And the first K, the Keith.
Signing off.
Thanks for listening.
And be well.